just gonna, Supervisor Zestera, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. So with that being said, I will call the Ad Hoc Structure Review Task Force meeting to order. And our first line of business will be election of, we say officers?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Nominations.
I nominate Connie Hanson.
Okay.
For what? For chair.
Okay.
What if I wanted to nominate Jacob for chair and supervisor deputy for vice chair?
And we
Do
would
I
have,
need to withdraw? I need to make those singular.
You don't need
Thank you, Supervisor
seconds.
Eisen.
You just need it.
I didn't hear the first part, so can you repeat that?
I would like to nominate Supervisor Sloan for chair.
Okay, and that's where you're leaving it, or are you adding? Are we doing one at a time?
One at a time.
one at
Okay,
a time.
thank you.
Any other nominations?
You nominate yourself, but you're over the chair.
I'm good. I'm happy.
Any other nominations? I have to say it 3 times, right?
Yes.
Any other nominations? With that, I need a motion to close nominations.
Second.
Need a second? Oh, yeah.
The thing is, I didn't have ballots prepared.
So we can just go by hand,
Is that okay?
Oh,
Is
or
those on paper?
we can do paper. Now, I guess the other
Just
question,
let her do paper, it's
Sure.
always
Paper's
done by.
This is where delegating would be good.
and if the paper hasn't got a straight line, we're okay. Keep all else failed. Keep up with all else failed.
oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I better make sure they're just 2. I gave you 3.
We are all good.
Well, everybody's gonna
Everybody
end
gets
up
a
having
vice
to have
chair.
a second one, aren't you? Paul, do you have a second one?
Okay.
There you go.
Where you going?
You can collect the ballot.
Oh, I didn't think I needed to do that. I'm happy to pick them up too. I'm happy to look at them
Once you
too.
volunteer,
I'm gonna remember.
once you volunteer, you have to carry it. Thank you, sir.
And Supervisor Floam is your chairman.
May you make a motion for vice chair? Or supervisor deputy.
Do you have any nominations for vice chair?
Any more nominations? Any more nominations? Any more nominations? Seeing that, Brian, you are the only person to be nominated for vice chair, if we could just do, if it's okay with the committee, just a voice vote on that. All those in favor for supervisor deputy to be vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
position. Congratulations, Vice Chairman Deffernan. And we do need a secretary. We do not, okay.
No, because every committee I'm on, they think, oh, you're gonna do all the notes. No.
So we do have, moving forward, I would like to coordinate our meetings with the clerk's office. We have somebody here take the minutes, and have the Zoom meetings posted. Thank you, everybody, for making it here tonight. Now that we have completed our elections of officers, let's go ahead and discuss why we're here. So we're here to look at the structure, particularly the committee structure of the Winnebago County Board. There's been a lot of talk over the past, well, decades, frankly, about what we should be doing in terms of committee structure and questions surrounding it. Some, it is a healthy structure. For others, there's room for improvement. I think this is a good mix of supervisors here on this committee to examine that and come to a good faith, right size decision. We have some freshmen, we have some more tenured members of the board here, so I think it is a pretty good mix. One of the things that I did want to look at here, I just want to make a quick housekeeping note on this JPS minutes here from February of 2022. It says Winnebago County has 16 standing committees. I don't think that number is accurate. I counted 12 standing committees and then 3 boards. And then I'm guessing number 16 would be the committee on committees, but they only meet once during a term. So that's the reason why I think that we're here today. I think this meeting was more kind of just to kind of set some talking points that we want to carry down for a super long time for tonight. Does anybody else have any sort of kind of guidelines here? I included these 3 items in the agenda packet. They were included in the resolution. Brian brought Jacob Curtis from the Counties Association last summer. And I thought that was a fantastic presentation, and I think we should bring it back again. But do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, so it was a great demonstration of their process of how they actually looked at their issues, looked at their number of committees, and what they did to right size it. You know, they looked at and it was in that packet that was sent to you too. They broke it down to five subject matters, and then they looked at what committees kind of fall into those 5 subject matters, and then that way they were able to address how many meetings that they need to do within a month, and how many actual committees that they need to have to address that. Of course, obviously, just like any other county, they're beholden to state statutes, and so there are certain ones that they have to have. But there's a lot of those that can fall within to those existing state statutes, those committees and boards on the state statutes. And that was a way for them to kind of figure out how to right size it. So I think, that's probably going to be a good model for us, for Winnebago County to do, to take a look at, what are the 5 areas that we cover. And there are certain things that we do that other counties don't have. We've got the county airport as well. So we've got some things that other counties don't have. And so and then there's some things that other counties have that we don't. So I think that's one thing to take a look at is just going forward is how we can approach this. So a lot of that was in that slide deck presentation, was in that handout that was sent to you. I think that's a good model for us going forward.
Mandatory committees are important to adhere to. I know that we can kind of mix and match. And
Thank you. A county board may establish as many standing and advisory committees as it deems necessary to conduct its business. These usually are created by ordinance or resolution. And to me, the bottom line question is, how many committees does Winnebago County need to conduct its business?
Mary Beth, do you have any? Because I know you're
I'll
on the
have
airport.
comments when we get to 3, but
Absolutely.
why am I here? I'm here to look at the committee structure and see if there is any way to combine anything. And I have read this one from 1990.
87.
Or 87. This one is a good start, meaning it's how they did it. But I want Winnebago County to do their own. Because I believe we do, and you mentioned one, we have many committees that I don't think should be combined with other committees. That's what I'm thinking right now. But I also am keeping open to the fact that perhaps some could be combined. I think Paul's statement was very good. How many committees do we need to do county business? I want to keep in mind that I want still the connect between the department, a committee, and the board. I think that's important to have those representations. I don't want to get to where we have department heads and the county executive and nothing in between until it gets to the county board. It's a loop that I don't like to see. But again, I'm still open because I like the idea that we are looking at the whole picture. And so that's why I am here, and I appreciate all the documents that you gave us ahead of time because they were very helpful for me to get a grasp of things.
I'm going to echo kind of what all three of you have said. I'm all for opening discussion, really on anything, including this one, obviously. I am all for recommending changes, but for me, the changes have to be completely proactive. Don't make a change just to make a change. I really would like to see that something is streamlined, that it becomes more effective. With that, I echo what you said too. As I'm open to change, I am also open to, it's fine, leave it alone.
I would also like to remind us that this is an issue that was presented February 14th, 2022. It was before the changeover with the newly elected members of the board. It was anticipatory. I don't know what was the thoughts behind the administrative effort to present this, but the rationale was that you're going to have 16 new people, 14 new people, because there were 14 open slots and 2 contested successful. This is just the aftermath of the pre-election effort. And the consequence is, you know, we've had all of the desires of the administration put on paper and asking us to ratify their options.
Anything else on this item before we move on?
I have one.
Yeah.
This report by Mike Collard that was sent. I think just looking, when we conduct our business in this particular meeting, there was one page right here, this one right here, where it points to all the different committees and boards, their number of action items that were done within a year, and the number of meetings that they've had, and basically action items per meeting. I found that to be a really good resource for us, just to have in the back of our minds. when we figure out what is the right amount of committees that we need to have. And how we can be a little bit more efficient with our time. That's all.
All right, so with that, we're gonna move on to the next agenda item, here, which is.
I just,
Oh,
is there a button on the O that we're supposed to turn on?
I'm not super familiar
I
with the
think
owl. I think there may be.
Are we not recording?
We're recording,
Zoom's recording.
so it's recording, but again, this is.
Pushing the button so it's on my face.
We all set? All right, so I guess with that, the next discussion item is the existing reorganization options that we have. These are kind of some pre-crafted options that were put forward both by the administration in this document. We have the Ozaki model in this document and then the Arthur Young study in this document. The one thing I want to say is that there are a lot of different options here. I don't think we should just pick one. I think we should craft one that fits the needs of the county today.
Thank you.
Because there are, I mean, the Ozaki model is great, but Ozaki County has things that they don't have that we have, like for example, the airport.
I know that keeps coming up, but yes,
And
that's.
so there are, every county's different.
Mhm.
They each have, different emphasis on a bunch of different items. So I don't think, I mean, we can pick something close to something, but I really don't think we should just pick a cookie cutter option and run with it. I think that would be perhaps a little bit irresponsible, but and also kind of not rolling up our sleeves and looking at the work here. But that being said, though, I do think these are some fairly good templates that we could definitely look at. We just need to be cognizant of what this county needs and that we don't fit into a cookie cutter mold that other counties fit into. I know the Ozaki study is a fantastic one. I like it quite a bit. I'm not quite certain that it hits exactly what we need right on the head. So those are my comments on the matter. I'll open it up.
I'm very impressed with Ozaki. I remember asking him, and it's possible that he might come back for another presentation. Is that correct, Supervisor Deputy?
We can certainly have him come back, absolutely.
Because I remember I asked him, when they made those changes, did things get done faster? Or are they seeing something different? And it was kind of too new to evaluate that. So I'd be very interested to hear his reevaluation now that almost a year has passed.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I could follow up with Jake and find out, how are they now? And see what they have to say on that.
Yeah, well, if you're assessing Ozaki, they have half the population that we have. They have 10 less members of the county board. They have a 26-member board. They have an administrator, not an executive. They've got about the same debt per capita that we do. Their poverty rate is half of Winnebago County's. The personal income is 50% more, 60% more than Winnebago County. Property values are 60–70% more. Got 100 less highway miles. Collected 100. They collected $114 per capita for their sales tax. $10 million. We didn't collect them. There's a big disparity when we look at those folks.
I think that's good to highlight. Ozaki County is, at the end of the day, is a smaller, more financially well-off county if you look at their demographics and whatnot. So, I mean, and their county government is also frankly different.
You know what? There was a study done by the state, and Ozaki County was found to have those highways highest graded in the state. And Winnebago County was right behind them in terms of
Pacer,
how they assess, how they
the Pacer system.
assess the quality of your roads. They were number one, and we were right behind them.
Thank the highway department for that, do a very good job. Mary Beth, do you have any comments on discussion?
Oh, I agree with good information. I want us to mold our own from that. That's why I'm here, because I think we can do that. But always good to have reference points. So that's all I have on that one.
Anybody else for this discussion item before we move on to the next one?
I definitely think that, yeah, that there is certainly definitely a discrepancy between Ozaki County and Winnebago County. But, in that standing board committees packet that we received, there were comparables to Waukesha, Brown, Racine, Outagamie, Kenosha, Rock, Washington. And I think if anything, one thing that we can take a look at is Kenosha County, as their population is around 168,000 compared to our almost 178,000. And they do have an executive model like we do. So definitely, I think there might be a couple other counties out there that could be a little bit more comparable to Winnebago County. As we're proceeding with the work.
We've been provided with the task force study from 1990. I'd like to also make reference to the final report of the Winnebago County Exploration Committee of October 2001. Because they had some very relevant assessments of looking at groupings of departments and committees. I would think that maybe if the clerk could make reference to final report of the Winnebago County Exploration Committee of October 31st, 2001. That would be a nice document for the members of the committee to have reference to. Because it
Could I just ask to follow through on, for these reports and that, and Supervisor Defferty, your knowledge is, it's fantastic. Are you getting this from NACO? Are you getting this from? Like, my real question is, where can I go to start doing research? Where would you recommend?
I would say definitely the Wisconsin Counties Association, WCA, for sure. That's where I went. That's where I went for a lot of my research. And they've got all sorts of tools that they could and resources that they could provide for you. So I can provide you with some contacts. I think Chelsea Filbert was one person that I went to, and Chelsea Filbert actually was the one who provided me with Jay Curtis from Methodist Law.
How do you spell that last name, Brian?
Sure, it's FILB as in boy, ERT as in Thomas.
I guess. All right. Well,
Good, that results. I just, as I start researching best places to go.
Yep.
I guess that kind of leads into our next item, WCA representatives, and having them come and give a presentation, kind of similar to what we had last summer. The nice thing about the WCA is that they'll show up and they have a broad breadth of knowledge for this. I actually bumped into Mr. Curtis at the legislative exchange last couple weeks ago, in Madison and talk to him. This may be something in the future that we may want to discuss with him about it. So for our next meeting, I know this is kind of a little bit dynamic. I would like to, or at least next meeting or meeting after, I'd like to include him in our discussion. So Brian, if you'd like to reach out to him, or I can reach out to him, we can give some good days that kind of work for everybody.
Yeah.
I think that's premature.
Okay.
I think we need to get a handle on the scope of what we really want to do. I have made myself clear at the Judiciary Committee that, in my opinion, if you're going to look at downsizing committees numbers, look at downsizing the county board numbers. Because it makes much more sense to reduce the size of the board and then reorganize your committees with that basis. Right now, there are 36 members and 13 committees. If you look at, let me see. When you compare the size of the county boards that have reduced their what happens when you get two copies. Winnebago County, according to the chart that we've been given, had 36 and 16. Waukesha has 25 county board members with 7 committees. Brown County has 26 members of the county board with 6 committees. Racine County with 6 committees has 21 members. Outagamie with 8 committees has 36 county board supervisors, but they have 4 employees in the office, in their legislative office, that reports to the chairman of the board. That's just like Tom Egan having 4 employees. Outagamie County. Rock County, with 29 members, has 13 committees. Washington County went down to 21 members with 6. Marathon has 38 board members with 7 committees. Fond du Lac, 25 members and 5 committees. Waushara with 11 county board members has 6. And Wapaka 27 with 15, and our neighbor Calumet has 21 members with 12 counties. So I mean, if we're going to look in the basis, one of the bases that we're given to review and compare and possibly downsize is the fact that other counties have done it, but they preceded their committee downsizing with county board downsizing.
If I just may kind of offer a counterpoint to that, I know that the board voted on a downsizing measure in, I think, 2021 or 2022. and that did not pass. One of the things that I worry about that, and I think at some point, we do need to have a conversation about something, at some point. I know that it did not pass when we had the opportunity to at the last census, when we had that. I talked to Fond du Lac County Board Chairman Steve Abel about this specific item. And he said they used to have 36 and they just decided to slash it in half to 18. They figured that wasn't enough, so they had to bring it back to 25. And so if Fond du Lac thinks that 18 is not enough, I would assume that us, with having more people per seat, given that we're a larger county than Fond du Lac, it would also not be enough. Another concern I have about that is rural representation. I think that's something that would get really hurt. I think the towns would get hurt in terms of having a voice at the county board. And I think, we do have to look at this at some point, but I think until at least we have the census update the 5-year estimate, or at least the next census, that would be something. Hold on. And I would also say that if we want to look at committees, preceding that with downsizing the board may kind of lose the plot there. If we want to do committees, we can do that, and then we can reslot the board later. But I think right now we need to focus on committees.
Well, just to elaborate and expand what you have found from your research. The census decision to maintain the same level of board members was a politically influenced choice. There was tremendous pressure from the municipal members of our county community. Town and village board chairman, and a great deal of energy was put in. If you go back, you can see it all on testimonies from chairs of various municipalities. So that that's the prime reason that there is no movement here, besides the rural coalition that is followed by the balance of supervisors, because the members are so knowledgeable.
Anybody else on certain models?
My comment is I'm on this ad hoc for the committee.
Mhm.
And I understand what Paul is saying, but I'm here to look at the committee structure. And Fond du Lac was a good point, because I was sort of amazed. They couldn't get people to serve on committees. And that's why they had to go back up to 25. So my deal is I'm here for the committee structure. I don't want to, I understand what Paul's saying, but I don't want to mix the two, because I don't think that's what this committee was set to do. I think we can do a good model. And I will probably be the one person that's going to have to give more than the others of you, because I'm kind of like the Lone Ranger here, but I do believe we have some committees that could either vanish or be combined. It's just how that goes about. It has to be a Winnebago County. So that's my thing. And do I think the WCA representative could come to a meeting? Yes. I don't know that we need, if you guys want to, we can bring this person in, but we've got this in front of us. I don't think we need to have it re-explained, but that.
Did that.
What?
He was here last year.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think we need to have it redone a third time. So that's my point. I don't know at what point we invite the WCA. I don't think we're there for the next meeting, but maybe.
Yeah, so I just wanted to, I was just checking to see if that link is still up, and it is. So the WCA does have their webinar link that regarding committee structure and right sizing. It was made on December 13th of 2021. And I can send this link to everyone on this task force. It has the presentation. You can get the PowerPoint presentation, but there's also an hour long, I think it's like a little over an hour long YouTube link that was that included Andy Phillips from Metolus Law regarding this. And it wasn't like necessarily Ozaukee County based. They did feature Jay Curtis on there, but it wasn't focused specifically on Ozaukee County. So so I can send that link too. And that'd be a good reference point, you know, as we do our research.
And if we do invite him back, maybe you could give a different presentation, maybe a condensed version of that webinar instead, because we have the Ozaki model here, kind of talking about, you know, branching out and talking about other parts of the state. Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Can we do anything?
No.
Right, and then I guess the next item here is kind of timing related. When should we deliver our findings to the Commissioner of Public Safety? So I have a couple thoughts on that. Ideally, I think this should be done, and people can disagree if they want, before or close to the budget.
I didn't hear what you said.
Before or close to the budget.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And that gives us, at least in my opinion, enough time to work through these models in good faith. We don't feel rushed. We can look at things holistically, but still give enough time for JPS and then the board as a whole to consider what they want to do with our suggestions. I'm sure at some point along the line, somebody's going to have an amendment somewhere, either at JPS or at the board in general. So that was my thought. I think, you know, while we do have time, we shouldn't, you know, sit here and just pretend that nothing's going on. I think that's a good idea, especially if we want to implement these changes sooner rather than later. But anyway, Paul, you have your hand up.
Yeah, you're really putting your foot on the accelerator. Within the next 30 days, the budget will be working on it. The department heads will get their instructions and they're going to start putting all this together. And if I hear you correctly, you want to see this for the 2024 budget time.
Mhm.
I don't think that that's a realistic objective goal. You know, I mean, it's slam dunk if you go back to the administration and you say they want to make 6 or 8 committees out of 16 committees. Don't know that that gives us enough time to craft what Mary Beth says is Winnebago County.
Well, nothing's set in
Other
stone, so I mean, we don't have to adhere to anything legally. But you know, I guess time frames. Anyway.
I hear what Paul's saying, but I have to admit, for me, I would rather we step on the accelerator, because if we don't, it takes too long. And I think one of the purposes of this is to have committees not take so long. Again, I am open, but I think it would be more prudent to step on the accelerator and have a presentation and recommendation prior to October.
I would also agree with that. I think that at the very least, we should, you know, and this was something that that has been brought up at multiple times when it came to this, is that we should at the very least have something, a plan put into motion before April of 2024. So that when it comes time for us to do the organizational meeting, that's where we would start formulating our plan to action. our recommendations, I should say, not really a plan, but more of a recommendation. So that with having it done at the budget time at that way we can at least have that in the back of our minds so that we can, we know how to formulate, what we can do approaching 2024. So I think that would be a pretty good time for us. And, now it's, March, late March. And so we've got, 6 months. I think that I'm pretty sure that we can get this done within 6 months. I think that we have enough time to do that. I mean, all 5 of us together. I think that we're able to get that done. So I think the budget time would be a pretty good time for us, a good time set. My 2 cents.
Mary Beth, do you want to?
Again, you guys are all on judiciary, so I'm saying, why, I guess my question is, why didn't judiciary put together something? On committee structure?
So the idea here was, I guess it stemmed from a resolution that was written and referred to judiciary. But in terms of a proposal, judiciary had CIP on its plate among other things. And judiciary has other moving parts. The idea here was that we could actually workshop this with nothing else on the table, with nothing else on our plate in terms of, I mean, the next JPS meeting has a number of things, including the sheriff's department, 41, and the conversations around that, and both sides of that, the CIP, and then the budget, and then a number of other operational things. So the idea, the thinking at JPS was that JPS could go and have a task force formed in order to then bring its findings back, with that being their sole focus. And I think the idea, the spirit of it, was to not move at breakneck pace, but to get something in a timely fashion for them to consider.
To me, this shouldn't take that long.
I agree.
I mean, I'm already formulating things in my head as suggestions, so. And I may be more on the conservative side of downsizing than you guys. So, but I'm open. But I want you to listen to what I have to say and why I have to say it. Because again, this is Winnebago County. And we had a long floor discussion of size of county court. It got nasty.
I was there.
Okay, so it did, and yes. And I, being from the rural area, I want to make sure that people have the representation on the committees that they need. There's certain areas of committees. But again, I can see that we can combine some things. So I'm thinking we'd be done in 2 or 3 months. I didn't think it was going to take forever to do this.
Yeah, that was my.
Because we don't need to muddy the water with a lot of presentations. When
Right.
we should all, we should have a grasp of the committees.
Right. I was thinking that maybe we would have WCA come once, even if necessary, than that.
And that's
that would
fine.
be it.
That's great.
Paul, you had something?
Well, I was just going to remind you that this was formulated back in February of 2022, before the present Judiciary Committee was even a figment of anybody's imagination. And that's what we're given to work with.
I understand.
Anybody else on this item?
Oh, and the other thing is, for the future, you see. Oh, you got it there. Okay.
For the quorum.
That was something that you said you gotta be careful with. Have to be
I looked at that and
careful.
I thought, I hope it's there because
Yeah.
otherwise no go.
Right. Okay, so with that in mind, our next meeting time,
Okay.
it seems that this Wednesday works for people. So I guess maybe then looking at Wednesday, does Wednesday evenings typically work for people in this room? And I want to include the clerk's office in this discussion because for the minutes and the Zoom and the owls. So Julie, what days of the week work best for you? And then what, I guess, to follow up, what weeks of the month work best for you too?
For me, Wednesdays aren't good.
Okay,
But if it's good for everybody else, I will make it work.
sure. What days work for you?
Pretty much any other day than Wednesday,
Okay.
honest truly, because, Wednesday's a church night for me.
I am so sorry.
It's okay. And I shouldn't bring, I don't want to say church and state, or whatever, but, you know, the only other night would be county board nights, which you would have to be there as well.
Okay, how about Thursdays? Thursdays work well for you? Okay.
If
Let's look
it
that
does
up
for everybody else.
to the committee then. Days of the week preferable that work best with, Brian?
Well, I mean, I typically work second shift 2 to 10, but I mean, I can easily, just, ask off from the boss, so that can be done.
Alan?
I'm open, are we, I'm trying to remember, Paul, do we need to meet at 6? Is that, I am open to a different time as well. That's really all I'm saying. It doesn't have to be
Yeah,
at 6 o'clock.
6.
You may lose me on some of it because I work during the day. So, and I've got other committees. And we meet like at the airport at 8 AM. I know that's scary, but we do it. And Parkview's at 3:30 on the third Thursday. Otherwise Thursdays. Planning and zoning is a
Very busy.
a viewing and a public
Yeah.
hearing and a deliberative.
It's one of the busiest committees.
It is busy.
You're a real hustler.
You are.
Call it what it is. I like it.
Paul, what days work best for you?
And you like days.
I would love. Stay away.
Even before work. I mean, if
I
that
will go
works,
with the flow.
Okay. So I guess, you said Thursday doesn't work for you. So then what about, and I know that this probably was for the calendar.
I would say be open to changing the day every month, because sometimes,
I agree.
depending on when county board is,
I would prefer
After an
to
election.
have it the same time.
that's why
same
Thursday is the
day,
best.
Same place. If you can have it on a Thursday, any Thursday,
Thursdays typically. I know April 13th, IS is in this room at 6 PM. I can't be here for that. So third, because I'm on IS.
Okay, so forget that.
So third Thursday doesn't work because you have.
Yep, I have, Parkview at 3:30.
At 3:30, could you do 6 PM on April 20th?
20th?
Yes, or should we meet earlier than that?
Sure, that's not the third Thursday?
It is
It is the third Thursday, April 20th.
Yeah, so forget that.
Don't do it.
Is there a better time for you, Brian? That you would not have to ask?
You
Right,
probably want a morning.
Yeah, well, obviously I prefer mornings, but I mean, I can work around that. I'm looking at my particular calendar for that week. And let's see, I'm actually gonna be in Stevens Point on April 20th, but that for the WCA Judicial
okay.
Public Safety meeting. But that's at 10 AM. We're probably gonna get done at around noonish or so. So I mean, I can make that work for the 20th, April 20th.
But that wasn't good for you.
I don't wanna do Parkview and then be there and leave at 5 o'clock and then scoot over here.
Okay,
Okay, so I guess if we can,
27th, no?
27th, I mean, that should work.
27th would be good.
And you're flexible, so it works for you. You said evening.
Yeah, so April 27th, does that work for everybody here in this room? So what time? Is there anything in this room, like a PNF or anything? Because I'm open to do
Oh.
mornings that day too. But you work during the day. So
Yeah,
that's
so
so if we do 6 PM, is that okay to book this room, and as long as that work with your schedule?
Do you have like a calendar of what's
I,
sort of kind of?
my staff takes care of the calendar.
Oh, okay,
Cassie does.
okay.
So I don't, let me try once. and see. There's a way. Let's see. I will just forewarn you a little bit.
Okay.
I am very, very nervous about a recount. If that would happen in amongst this, the recount has to come first for me. So
So we should remain flexible?
Yes.
that would be the only thing. I'd have to find someone else to.
Sure. Okay.
um,
Fair enough.
But then again, it could be that we don't go till 6 o'clock at night.
Sure. Understood. Understood. If that works for everybody, I guess if the clerk's office could put an email out a week. I guess one thing I will ask is for agenda items to be in, I guess if this is okay with everybody else, to be in a week before. Is that all right?
Mhm.
Okay, so agenda items in a week before, so that due date will be the 20th at close of business. So by 5 p.m. And then if Cassie or somebody else could put out their request for materials
For this one,
for the next one, yeah. So the deadline for submission for materials for the agenda would be on April 20th at close of business, so 5 p.m.
permission to put it in there. That night is open for the room. but
Okay.
I've got to get permission, I guess, to get in there.
Which night again?
April 27th.
7, okay.
And then deadline for submission will be a week before, and then if you could just put out a reminder for everybody to get their stuff in. I know Cassie does the same for GPS, and she does a very good job with that,
Yep,
so.
yep.
Okay, well, that kind of takes care of that. Does anybody else have anything for the good of the order before we gavel out?
Good meeting, thank you.
Yes.
Well, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.